Disclaimer. This video is opinion based, so take it with a huge grain of salt. 2 weeks ago, before I even had the thought of making my Counter-Strike Condition Zero video, I posted a poll asking which Valve game was the best, and because at that time I barely had any views, only 4 people saw the poll. But 3 out of these 4 people chose Portal 2 as the best Valve game to ever be created, and to be fair, I couldn't agree more. But just to make sure that is the case, I replayed the entire Portal 2 single player campaign, and honestly, I can say that Portal 2 is not only my favorite Valve game, but probably my favorite game overall. The humor.
So let's try her way, alright? Fatty, adopted fatty, no parents. What?
What exactly is wrong with being adopted?
What's wrong with being adopted? Lack of parents.
For the record, you are adopted and that's terrible.
And
Just
also,
work with me.
nothing. But some of my best friends actually are orphans.
Also,
But
look at her, you moron. She's not fat.
I am not a moron! Just do the test. Just do the test.
The gameplay.
Of glass and pick up 15 acres of broken glass by myself.
The characters, and even the soundtrack. They all reminded me why I always regarded this game as one of the best games of all time. Even after 10 years, this game just feels revolutionary. Maybe you noticed that I didn't say anything about the story, but I'll talk about it. You know, before my last replaythrough of Portal 2, I finished the first Portal game twice. And the fact that the story went from giant lady robot goes crazy and wants to kill us to an insane storyline that also connects Half-Life to it is just insane. This is something that isn't talked about enough, to be fair. You see, even Half-Life, whose story at start was not that expanded on as much as in Half-Life 2, it still had something to it. It wasn't just a nerd gets a crowbar and some weapons, saves the world and then gets banished. No, you still knew a few details about everything. While I'm aware that in the first Portal game you also get some Easter eggs and some intel about it, the jump from that to Portal 2 is insanely huge. Of course, visually wise, the game got its graphics enhanced, and some textures changed for the better, but this upgrade is not comparable to its story's upgrade. Tool that literally skyrocketed the game's quality was the gel, which came in 4 different types. The ability to jump, become the Flash, place portals, and just shower, drastically expanded Portal's gameplay. And if you thought that's all, Portal 2 also added lasers, tractor beams, and hard light bridges, which just made the game 10 times more interesting, since it had more than 2 objects that you could pass through portals, unlike its first sequel, which only had cubes and energy balls. All this talking about gameplay and story remind me of one last detail about Portal 2. The addition of the co-op campaign. The co-op gave people a way to share the joy of completing puzzles with their friends while expanding the story. You jump in as Atlas and Peabody, 2 robotic test subjects created by GLaDOS right before Shell's escape in Portal 1. During Shell's departure in the ending of Portal 2, we see these 2 looking at us, while GLaDOS is telling her how all that's happened changed her and her judgment towards the protagonist. This is all really. If you've got anything to say related to this, let me know in the comments below and I'll try to respond as soon as I see it. Anyway, until next time, bye! Oh yeah, it's also worth noting that after you finish this, you've got the workshop so you can play something new after.